Good morning, everyone. How are you? Good. So I am a high energy speaker. I like to get engaged with the people who are here. So shake off, your morning sleep. I hope everybody got their coffee. I've been up since 5 a.m., working. It's what the life of being self-employed is and being an entrepreneur. So I know all about being tired, but we're going to keep our energy up. I am going to be talking to you about leveraging your knowledge. How is it that you go from knowing something to profiting off of that knowledge? Before we get into it, I just want to cover a few introductory things. So a little bit about myself. I am an award-winning small business consultant. I have received 3 citations from the city of Philadelphia and the state of Pennsylvania for the work that I've done around social justice, entrepreneurship, and civic engagement and leadership. I am also one of the newest directors at the Enterprise Center. Malika mentioned that at the beginning of our time together. So that's a very recent appointment for me, taking the knowledge that I know, right? So taking my knowledge and leveraging that for other opportunities. And I'll tell you all a little bit about my business and what we do in a second. So I am also a professor at Drexel University. I am the youngest and only African-American professor in my department at Drexel University. Thank you. And I've been there now for like 6 years. I was really young when I started working there. And then I'm also a 4-time author. So in my haste this morning, because I had other appointments before here, I forgot to grab copies of my book. And the really sad part about it is I went into the bag where the books are and still forgot to take them out. So Malika showed my website at the beginning. It's TiffanyGillespie.com. It's my name. My books are on there so you all can find out more about them. So I've written 4 books, 3 of which are published. I do not know when I'm going to publish the 4th one. It's been done for some time, so I'm just going to do what God tells me to do about that. I also serve in ministry. So I serve as the Chief of Strategic Planning for my church, which is Catalyst Churches in Southwest Philly, under the leadership of Pastor Keon A. Giroux. So everything that I do surrounds teaching, right? I have been able to take my knowledge and leverage it to help in community, in ministry, on the collegiate level, and in businesses all across the country. As we saw a little bit earlier, I am a small business consultant. I specialize in helping business owners to turn their struggling businesses into thriving multi-6-figure brands. And we recently just secured our first multi-million-dollar client, so I need to change and update that to make it more accurate. But that's what we work on doing, is that we provide strategic planning. We help them to put systems in place, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today, and how you can do these things for yourself, the DIY part that you can do for yourself. And then we also plan strategic events to get them in front of their target audience. So I know that was a very long spiel, and the resume, it sounds good and all of that, but I'm really just here to serve and to help. Like I said, I am a teacher, so I need engagement from the classroom, and you all are my classroom today, okay? Is that good? Yeah, okay, that works for you. All right. Okay, so this morning we are going to learn how to create and expand your network. And I'll break each one down when we get to that point. You're also going to learn how to identify your niche and to target that market. You're going to learn how to develop your one thing. I'll be honest, the one thing is not a concept that I came up with. It's a concept that one of my very good friends, Genesis Dorsey, who is also a small business expert. She focuses on different areas of business. She came up with this. I'll teach you what it is, and we're going to have an in-class assignment today where you're going to work on coming up with your one thing. And then we're going to talk about developing the structure of your business, creating your pricing structure, and how to effectively launch your business. So even if you're already in business, you may want to launch a new idea. You may want to launch a new business. I am in this place where I'm just convinced that I'm absolutely crazy because I'm currently vetting opportunities to start another business as if I have more time for that. But it's what I'm being led to do, so we're going to see what happens. But as a business owner, you're always coming up with something new. As an entrepreneur, we think that we can do everything and that we can run any type of business, but we'll talk about how to not get caught up in that on our second point. But there's always new opportunities, and as a business owner, once you become a consultant, you are the owner of your brand. You are the owner of the business of you. So when you become a business owner, you're going to have those opportunities to be able to launch new ideas. Every time you do a new book, every time you put a new book out, there's a new plan, a new marketing strategy that you have to develop for that. So you need to know how to launch effectively. Any questions so far?
Yeah.
Yes,
Information, your PowerPoint, are you going to be able to have something for us to pass out or take pictures of what you're putting up there? Because you got that's some heavy stuff right there.
Yeah. So you can take pictures. The PowerPoints will be emailed to you, though, to all of the participants. So all 3 of the PowerPoints will come to you all. But if you want to take pictures, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Again, I'm used to that. I teach, they are not millennials. They're Generation Z, I would say, is what the students are now. All right, so we're going to talk about creating and leveraging your network. I'm going to go ahead and put all of the points up here, and we'll break each one down. So when you're thinking about creating, first we have to create a network before you can leverage it. I had a conversation with one of my clients yesterday. She called me. She's actually releasing a book, so we work with all different types of clients, all types of industries. I will not say that I have worked with every industry because anytime I go to say that, a new industry pops up and somebody comes up and wants me to help them. But we've worked with a lot of different types of business owners, size, revenue, all of that. So one of my clients, she messages me, and the book that has been done for a while, we've taken it, through all of the copywriting processes and all of that, and the book was supposed to be here yesterday. It did not show up because it's delayed from the publishing company that she used. So of course she calls me in a tizzy and she's upset, and I tell her, I'm not going to tell you what to do this time, right? We've been working together since February. I want you to put on your CEO hat and I want you to tell me what you're going to do. You're in the process of launching a book. You're in that pre-launch phase. So you're marketing, you're utilizing the strategies that my company has been teaching you. So what are you going to do? You can't stop the marketing process. You can't, stop anything that needs to be done. So I made her start to think about how she could leverage the network that she created. Had we not started to leverage the network that, had we not started with creating the network, there would have been nothing for her to leverage. So one of the things that I had her to do months ago was to get a few copies of the book made, rough copies, just get them printed, kind of from anywhere, and send them to people in your network, right? And have them to review the book. I gave her all these ideas, all of these strategies. So when the publishing company came back and said, you know what, we don't have a copy of your book, go back to your network. Your network has a copy of your book, right? Because we utilized them very early on in the process, and now you can leverage what you've done with them to get what it is that you need so that you can continue the process of promoting your book. So some of the things that you need to think about, does that make sense, what I just said? Okay, all right. So when you are thinking about creating and leveraging your network, the first thing that you want to always do is to network up. Okay, and remember, we're talking about, my part of the presentation is really about how you can build a consulting business, but these tips are going to apply to any business, right? This is also laying the foundation for what Sherry is going to do, which is get more in depth and talk more about how you publish your book and the branding and the marketing around that. So you have to network up. And what that means is that you want to connect with people who know things that you don't know. They are where you want to be. They might have access to opportunities that you don't have access to. I never like to really put people on a pedestal, but for the sake of understanding this, you want the people who are up here to where you're trying to get to, right? So go for that top tier person. The next thing you want to do is create a power list. This is something that I learned about in my first year of business ownership. So I've been a business owner now for 8 years, self-employed for 5 of those years. So creating a power list is a list of those individuals who you can go to for opportunities. So what that means, one of the people who is on my power list, I have one of my mentors is on my power list, and when I was thinking about pursuing the opportunity to work with the Enterprise Center, I went to him and said, hey, do we still know, such and such? And he's like, yeah, we do. Great, so here's what I'm thinking about, right? And he's like, absolutely, go for it. Sent a message on the spot, sent back the screenshot of the response and was like, you're good, like you're in. All you have to do now is, kill the interview, do the meetings well, but you're in. That's having a power list. So you need to think about those people who are either in your life or who you need to get in your life, who can open up doors for you and opportunities for you. They may not be your client. They may not be the individuals who you end up taking on as a consulting client, but because of who they know, and just like Malika said at the beginning, because of who they know, they can open up doors for you and opportunities that you may not have had access to, or, they can provide some reinforcement, right? There are many opportunities. I, as a believer, know that God opens all doors for me, but there are reinforcements that he sends to help along the journey, and it does help when somebody can make a recommendation, right? Another part of creating your network is finding your networking fit. A lot of people don't network because they are afraid of going out and meeting people. A lot of people don't network because they're afraid of being in large crowds. They think they'll get swept up. How do I know who to talk to? This is 2019. You don't even really have to leave your home anymore to network. So if you're one of those individuals who says, I would kind of do better in small groups, try joining Facebook groups. Try joining meetup groups. There are open group meetings that you can join as well. So you can do something that's virtual to get you accustomed to talking to people, but what I will say is that what's going to set you apart in a digital age is one-on-one interaction. Everybody is hiding behind a computer, a phone, or a tablet, showing up and doing events live, meeting people one-on-one, and creating those in-person relationships is really what's going to set your network building apart from everyone else, but you have to find your fit. You don't have to go to an event with 100 people. For as long as I've been doing this, I do not like crowds of people. I am much better in small settings, more intimate and intentional networking. I had to find my networking fit. When people invite me to these huge events and it's going to be a networking happy hour and all of that, I'm like, that's just an excuse for people to go out and drink. That's it. There's no networking happening there, right? I prefer intimate settings like this where you actually have the opportunity to have conversation with people. So, but maybe you thrive in that setting. Maybe you can walk into a room full of 100 people and walk out with 10 contacts that are just absolutely going to change your business. So find your networking fit. Network at the right place and right time. Think outside of the box about networking. Networking does not only happen at an event that has the title of networking. It can be in an event like this. We never said anything about networking. It's not in the title. I don't think it's in the event description. But these are opportunities for you to meet people. That's all it is, okay? And then when you get to the point of launching your business or when you're trying to launch a new idea or a new strategy, you can go back to that network. I'll give you another example. I received an award actually it was last year. In March of 2018, it was a group of us who were honored from one of the radio stations in Philly, and one of the women who, I told you I'm vetting a couple of new business ideas, right? One of the women who I was honored with, I reached out to her and said, hey, you know, we met a while ago. We have a lot of mutual connections. We've actually worked together before prior to us getting that award together. But all of that prefacing was me leveraging the connection that I made through us meeting because we both got this award. That's how you leverage a network. So now I have the opportunity to glean knowledge. I don't need her to connect me to anyone. I don't need her to do anything else. I just want to meet with her. And I believe in paying people for their time. No, we don't do a bunch of free coffee dates, but I believe in meeting with her. I'm going to meet with her, rather, to glean the knowledge that she has about what it is that I want to do that came from the network we created. So networking at the right place and right time. The other part is to do what you are told. It is a disservice to this woman if I go to her and I say, hey, you know, I'm willing to pay you for an hour of your time for me to ask you as many questions as I want to ask you. And she pours out all of this knowledge. She gives me resources and connections, and she's just giving and giving and giving of herself. And I do nothing with the information that she has given, right? If you're going to build a power list, if you're going to network up, do what you're told. If the person that you are, who you view as kind of being where you desire to be, tells you, hey, do step 1, 2, and 3, do step 1, 2, and 3. And then the last thing for this point before we move on to the next thing is knowing your ask. No one has time to waste time. You don't have time to waste time. And those people who you want to network with, they don't have time to waste either. So you need to know what you are going to ask for before you go into a meeting, before you go to them. When I reached out to that young woman the other day, I knew exactly what I was asking her for. This is a specific set of information that I would like to get from you if you are willing to meet with me. Any meeting that I have, you always want to prepare for that, and especially if you know that those individuals, if there's a mutual benefit there that we can share in our knowledge, know what you want to ask for before you go in. And don't be afraid to ask for it. The worst thing that you're going to get is a no. That's the worst thing that's going to happen, is that someone tells you no, but it won't be the first time. It certainly won't stop you from progressing. You just have to find another way to get it done. Any questions so far? Okay. All right, so identify your niche and target market. Once again, I'm going to just go ahead and throw these up here for the sake of time. They are a little bit small, so I'm just going to read each one. So the first says, in order to identify your niche, you need to understand that passion leads to profit. The thing that you are passionate about is where you will be profitable, right? I didn't know this. Had I known what I know now, I would have saved my grandparents money on that college degree that they paid for in criminal justice that I do not use, and it's at home in my mother's house collecting dust. I would have saved their money on that and invested it into something else. But I didn't know this, right? I didn't know. No one ever talked to me about purpose. No one ever talked to me about passion. Certainly not making money from what you like to do. No, you do what you have to do, right? It was a sermon, actually, that I heard from my pastor in January 2012. I will never forget it. He was teaching a series on spiritual gifts and how you can use your gifting in the marketplace. That was the first time I had ever heard anybody talk about that. Certainly not in church, right? So when he taught this lesson, it was like an aha moment, like this light bulb went off. And I went home that week and started my business. So the very first business that I started is an event planning company. That's what my background is in. I've been doing events for 12 years now. So I started that company 8 years ago, almost 8 years ago, after hearing that message. So I wanted to leave that with you all to just remind you that passion does lead to profit. Don't think that you can't make money doing what it is that you love to do. You just have to figure out how you're going to leverage it, and that's what we're talking about today. The next thing is to do what you love. The worst thing, you want to know one of the things, I'm really not scared of much. One thing that scares me is being unhappy in what I'm doing for the rest of my life. God willing, we have a long time left, and that is a long time to do something that you hate, right? So do what it is that you love. When you do what you love, it will make it easier for you to identify your niche. As a business consultant, I help people to build and grow and start their businesses. There are so many other areas of consulting that I just don't touch because I don't want to do like marketing consulting. Do I know a little bit about marketing? Absolutely, but I'll leave that to the people over there. I don't want to do graphics. I'll leave that to the people over there. I focus on doing what I love, and when you focus on doing what you love, that's how you're going to figure out your niche. Be who you need it. As a consultant, that is like the #1 thing. My passion, what drives the work that I do every single day, what gets me up at 5 a.m. on a Saturday morning when I certainly could have been sleeping in, is because I have to be who I needed for individuals who are in the position that I was in, right? I didn't have a mentor. I didn't grow up in a family with entrepreneurs. My parents, one half of my parent squad, I have parents and my step-parents. So one half of my parent squad, they are now entrepreneurs. They became entrepreneurs because of me. I didn't become entrepreneurs because of them. Right? So I didn't have anyone who talked about this. My family, we didn't talk about this. We talked about working 40 hours a week for 40 years of your life to possibly get 40% of your pay when it's all done. Right? So you have to be who you need it, right? You have to be able to help those individuals who are where you were to get to where they're trying to be. All right? So let's get into a little bit more of targeting your market. So all of that is focused on identifying your niche, so those first 3 points. And the last 4 are really more about targeting your market. You have to know your competition. Anyone who tells you that you don't need to be focused on your competition is silly. There's just no other way to say it, and they're setting you up for failure, right? If you think that Pepsi is not focused on what Coca-Cola is doing, you're sadly mistaken, right? Does Google and Android, do they not come out with a new phone right after Apple does every single year? And it's pretty much the same phone. The only difference is that they can't use the proprietary stuff, the stuff that belongs to Apple, but they come out, they're paying attention to their competition, right? They're trying to keep up with their competition. So you need to know whether you want to be, you know, a comic book author, you want to write books of poetry and for healing, whatever it is that you want to do, you need to know who your competition is. You need to know where they're located. Are they online? Are they doing brick and mortar establishments? Where is the space of opportunity for you as a business owner, right? You need to know other women who might be in the same field as you, right? Okay, so know who your competition is. And the next thing is to identify the 5 W's and the how. This goes back to elementary school. We learned this there, okay? So when I say the 5 W's and the how, I mean who, what, when, where, why, and how, okay, of your target market. I'm not going to break each one down because we do not have time, but who are you targeting, right? People tend to get stuck at the first one, and I'm going to tell you all a really simple secret to figuring it out. 9 times out of 10, you fall into your target market, right? Remember, if you go back to point 3, you are becoming who you needed. So if you really think about it, your target market is you, right? Now, there are some individuals who I work with who may be older than me, younger than me. Most of my clients are actually women who are married with children. I'm neither. But for the most part, they're all women of color. They are all either self-employed or striving to be self-employed. They are all very early in their business, meaning probably 10 years or less for most of my one-on-one clients. For the larger clients, the multi-million-dollar clients, they've been in business longer than I've been alive. But you have to know who, the who is you. Okay, you fall somewhere within that target market. So the who, what is what are you going to sell? Where are you going to sell it? When are you going to provide it? Why are you going to provide it? Okay? You probably heard this. The why is what's going to keep you going. And then how are you going to deliver what you say that you can do? Next thing is to know your numbers. I don't know is not a good answer in life, but it's definitely not a good answer in business, and certainly not when it comes to your finances. This is the thing that is killing most small business owners, is that they do not know their numbers. They don't understand what numbers mean. It is more than keeping your books in the black or out of the red, right? You need to know how many clients do you need to service in a set time frame in order to reach your financial goals? How many staff members do you need to have in order to be able to fulfill your deliverables, right? What is the product? How much does the product cost? How much is the shipping of it? How much does your company need to make from every product? How much do you need to make from every product? Where's the buffer for fluctuation in the markets? This is something that is intimidating to a lot of people, but you can't afford to not know your numbers in business. And you want to know who really needs you to know is the IRS. You need to know those numbers, right? Okay? So know your numbers. And then the last thing with targeting your market is to create a beta group. Use people. Okay? People love free stuff. One of my girlfriends just became a certified holistic nutritionist. I have been looking for a nutritionist. She needed a test subject, the beta group. I gladly joined, right? So she provided just a template of her services at no charge, working out all the kinks on me, okay, in exchange for me giving a testimony, a detailed testimony, video, written, all of these things about her products and services. You create a beta group, okay? Any questions? Okay. Let's talk about developing your one thing. The one thing is what you do. I am a small business consultant who specializes in helping business owners to turn their ideas to reality and their struggling businesses into multi-million-dollar brands through the use of strategy, systems, and strategic events. That is what I do. One thing, right? I don't do a whole bunch of other things publicly, is what I'll say, right? The businesses that I'm currently considering opening have nothing to do with what I currently do, but as an entrepreneur, I'm also an investor, right? I invest in other businesses. That's one of my overall goals of my life, is to be able to invest in other businesses and to still be who I needed. Okay, to be able to give that capital and that funding to people who may not be able to get it from other sources for whatever reason. So developing your one thing, this is the formula for it. So I blank, and we'll break it down in a second, but I blank, and then you're going to fill in the who, the what, and the how. So let's look at the parts of this first. The who is your target market. Okay, it's your target market. So for me, I help, specialize in helping. I help small business owners. That's my target market. Okay, I help small business owners. The what is the experience or the end result. When my good friend Genesis Dorsey taught this to me, this is the part that tripped me up. I was like, what are you talking about? It didn't make sense to me. I felt like this should have gone at the end, but it is not. So for me, I help, so I help small business owners choose, and what is the experience, right? To turn their ideas into reality. That's an experience. To turn their struggling businesses into multi-million-dollar brands. That is an experience. That's the end result, what I want to get to that. The end of it is that we have reality and money. Okay? So that's the what. Is this making sense so far?
Yes.
Yo, is at least half of the room keeping up? Because I'm telling yo, I wish that I would have brought the notebook where I was working out this one thing. Oh, I struggled with this. Yeah. I know a lot, but this is the thing that tripped me up. Okay? And then the how is the pathway to the end result. Okay? So I told you all, and my one thing is through systems, strategy, systems, and strategic events. Okay? So let's look down here. So my one thing, so I teach, okay, or I help, depending on which way I'm saying it that day, but I teach who business owners how to turn ideas to reality. This is my what? Turn ideas to reality and build their struggling businesses into thriving multi-million-dollar brands, right? And then through what? Strategy, systems, and strategic events. So I want you all to take 1 to 2 minutes, and if you can just come up with these 3 things, just me. I can't like fully articulate how hard I struggle with this. I feel like I'm a reasonably intelligent person. This is the thing that tripped me up in business, okay? So if we can at least think about these 3 things, right? Let's see if we can fill in the blanks. You don't have to formulate it into an entire sentence, but let's see if we can fill in the blanks, okay? So I want you all to take 2 minutes to do that really quickly. And then we're going to keep moving. So 11:26.
Sure, just so you don't worry too much, there is nothing scheduled after this.
Okay. All right. Oh, that's it. All right, 2 minutes. Another thing just for you all to kind of think about, and again, so this is not, if you pay attention to this, it's not an exact like answer to that blank, right? Because I have some extra words in there, but if you need to fill in extra words to make it make sense, that's fine. This is just a template for it. So does anybody have their 3 parts at least that they might want to share?
She said we just started.
I told you I'm a teacher. Nope. Full of energy. I know she is. I know. Listen, I'm hip to all of the tricks. I've been doing this a while. I'll drink some water.
Please elaborate on what yet.
Oh, thank you. Oh, look at this. That's fancy. Okay, thank you. Jim is just so fancy. Oh, I'm going to tell you all a story. I'll tell you all that while you're working on it. So for the what, to answer your question, it's the experience or the end result, right? So if you look at mine, the end result, even if you don't focus on the experience, that might trip you up a little bit. But what is the end result that you want them to achieve? When my clients come to me, I want them to come to me with their ideas and their struggling businesses, right? That's what they have. You have to come to me at a point of need, okay? So with your ideas that you've been struggling to turn into reality, and with your business that might not be making, either it's making no money or it may not be making as much as you want it to make, okay? So what do I do for them? What is the end result? If they bring me ideas and struggle, I should be able to turn that into something through the work that I do, okay? So I turn their ideas into reality. That's the end result. Whatever's in their head, we manifest it. We make it happen, okay? And then I build their struggling businesses into thriving multi-million-dollar brands, okay? Now, everybody doesn't want to be a millionaire. I'll be completely honest with you. You know, everybody doesn't. Millionaire, I was having a conversation, the client that called me yesterday, I told her, you know, these things that you're dealing with, there's a cost to be the boss. I did a free webinar on Thursday night, one of my good girlfriends and I, teaching people how to make 5 figures in a day, right? And I told them, one of the things that we can't walk away from this webinar without talking about is taxes, okay? It sounds really, really good to make 5 figures in a month or 5 figures in a day, definitely, right? Like that sounds like achievement. But please know that the IRS, they want their cut, all right? And you're going to give them their percentage first. And you give more to, for believers, you give more to the IRS than you do to your tithe, all right? They want a bigger percentage. So what you have to understand, though, is that my clients want this. Okay? If you don't want to be a multi-million-dollar brand, you can't come here. There's somebody for you, but when you bring me struggle, I'm turning it into something that is a legacy, right? That's something else that my clients, so when we think about the experience, we're building legacies. This is not easy. It doesn't happen overnight. Okay? So when I'm thinking about my what, and I'm thinking about multi-million-dollar brands, I'm not just thinking about multi-million dollars for you. You can't take it with you when you leave anyway, right? So we have to think about, that's why I put experience and end result, because what is the experience that we want to create for our clients? What is the experience for our readers? If they arrive at picking up my book, what do I want them to walk away with? I want them to walk away healed. I want them to walk away encouraged. I want them to walk away laughing. I want them to walk away entertained. Whatever that is for you, what do you want them to walk away with? Educated, did I say that? Whatever it is, okay? So really quickly, 2 people, if I can, please, click. Go ahead, you said you had a question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The part that I'm hung up on is the how. I know who I want to target, and I know what I want to provide. Okay. But it's like how I'm going to do that, that's the part I'm not really sure about.
Okay, very simple way to think about it. What are the services that you provide? Okay. So for me, I provide strategic growth and development plans. That's strategy. I can't say all of that because then this will turn into a run-on sentence. So summarize it with strategy. We create and implement new systems and review old systems. Can't say all of that, so through systems. And then strategic events, we help our clients to get in front of their target audience to be able to pitch their services. So we find their audience for them and say, hey, you should consider doing this. Get in front of your target audience. We prepare their talking points, their PowerPoint presentations. If I can be there, a member of my team can be there, we will go with them. So all of that falls under strategic events. So what are the services that you are going to provide? Because you want to do consulting, right? So another point of transparency, it took me, I started my consulting business 5 years ago. I just nailed down my one thing 1 year ago, right? So I had many iterations of this. I told you, my girlfriend told me we worked on this thing for a long time, like years. And there were many iterations of it. It took me to figure out what I wanted to offer and who I really am as a business owner and figuring out my lane and being comfortable staying in it before I could develop this. So there's all of these other things that go into this, but I want you all to have a framework for it so that when you introduce yourself and when you stand in front of a room, you can say it with confidence. I say it every single time I introduce myself. I practice it, right? I roll it over and over in my head so that I remind myself of who I am and what I bring to the table. If you come to me and say, I want graphic designs, that's not me. And I have to be okay with walking away from that money and that opportunity, okay? So your one thing guides who you are. It's one of your guiding principles for what you do. And it also helps you to communicate that to other people. Okay? All right. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I help potential candidates running for election to win elections through developing campaign strategies, starting from and that's, I wanted to say from the bottom to the top, but that's not really what I want to say. I want to say from grassroots to actually winning on election day.
Okay, take me back one more time to the beginning.
Okay, all right. I help potential candidates running for election to win elections.
So let's, I want to pause something really quickly. So they are candidates, right?
Yes.
So then don't say potential.
Okay.
Yeah, because and I get why you said potential, because they have the potential to have the position, but potential says that they might be candidates, and it's not really communicating what you mean, okay?
So I help candidates strong.
Okay, so start from the beginning.
All right, I help candidates running for election to win.
Let's stop right there. So let's say political candidates, right? So take the elections part out, because that political says that they're running for election.
I help political candidates.
Yep.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
To win elections.
Yes, winning.
Okay.
I like it. I mean, if we're going to do it, we might as well do it. So I help them to win. Okay.
Right.
What else?
Through developing campaign strategies that start from the community.
Okay. So through developing grassroots campaign strategies.
Thank you.
Yep. Say it one more time.
Okay. I help political candidates to win elections through developing grassroots campaign strategies.
No, developing was right, I think. So say it one more time, I'm sorry.
All right. I help political candidates to win elections through developing grassroots campaign strategies.
Yes. So I would also challenge you a little bit, because I want you to fill that in a little bit more, so you see like how full that is. So some things that I want you to consider is, how would someone in the community respond to that? So I also work on political campaigns. I'm currently working on one right now. If I go and I say this candidate, like I'm helping this candidate to win this election, that doesn't really resonate with community. So we need to think about like to develop relationships with the community. So you could say, I help political candidates to secure, like think of another way to say win, right? That I want you to think of another way to say win.
Build a stronger.
Not yet, not yet. So for win, I want you to think about what's another way that you could say win. So it could be like, I position political candidates for success through developing grassroots campaigns that engage the community.
Okay.
Right? Because that's what you do. And that feels good. It doesn't feel so political, right? It doesn't feel like you just want my vote, right? I mean, really, right? That feels good. So if you're at an event, because you'll be at events with these candidates, and they say, oh, who are you? Oh, you know, such and such. Oh, so what exactly do you do? Oh, I help to position political candidates to secure their, like whatever I just said. I hope you wrote it down, because it just flows sometimes. So that I help them to do that through developing grassroots campaigns that engage the community. And they'll be like, oh, I'm the community. That feels good to me. And that's when you're thinking about your one thing, and especially for you, your audience is not just your client. It's their client as well. When you're doing consulting, this is an important thing to understand. When you are doing consulting, your client's client is who really matters. The work that I do and how I either represent my clients or help them to represent themselves, that's what gets them the win. When I hear that a political candidate wants to engage in this community, I hear somebody who wants to listen, somebody who wants to care, and then guess what? When I go to that voting booth, I'm going to vote for them, right?
So with our heart first.
Exactly. Yes, Lord. Which is not always right. That's another conversation for another day. Okay. I have to keep moving.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So that's how you do your one thing. Let's talk really quickly through developing the structure of your business.
Yes, I want to ask you a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what God sees.
I'm literally looking right now. Oh, one more. I think that's.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And is there anybody here that has to leave, like, right at 12:30? It might just go a couple minutes. All right, well, just be patient.
Yes, and I'm going to go speed it up just a little bit, okay? So develop the structure of your business, okay? So when we're thinking about developing the structure of our business, there's 4 primary areas that we want to look at. Again, this presentation is not exhaustive. I'm just trying to summarize the important parts. So departmental organization. You may say, well, I'm the only person. Still need to organize your department, so you need to have the time when you focus on your accounting, when you focus on administrative tasks, when you focus on fulfillment, which is executing the things that you say that you can do. You need to have the time when you focus on marketing. And each of those things has its own set of goals and the effort that you put behind it, okay? So departmental organization, knowing which department you need. Create an organizational chart. You know, go ahead and write the vision down. Make it plain, okay? So that when the people come, you've already built a place for them. You're not struggling to create something when the team comes, when those individuals come who you need, all right? So if you create it, if you stay ready, you won't have to get ready. And I really believe that in every area of life. If you stay ready, you do not have to rush to get ready, all right? The next thing is positional organization, okay? Let's develop some job titles. You know, it might just be you, but let's develop some job titles so that as you're meeting people and you're hearing their skill set. When I heard Vanessa say she works on political campaigns, I can't wait to talk to her after this event. I'm currently working on a political campaign, right? I know some things that I might be looking for in a subcontractor or a person who I might want to have a consulting session with. And see, I believe in paying people for their time. So Vanessa might have just got herself a little one-time contract, okay? A little one-time deal. Okay, exactly, right? Just from opening your mouth, though, and because I understand my organization and the areas where I may need different things, when I hear it, I can recognize it, okay? So wherever that position, understand where everyone is positioned in your organization or where you desire for them to be positioned. You also need to identify the systems of your business. Some of the most important systems, I'm going to tell you really quickly, are going to be fulfillment. So you have to be able to do what you say you're going to do, whether it's product or service-based, okay? Fulfillment, marketing needs a system, sales needs a system, administration needs a system. And those are just like the first 4 that you need for any business structure. Fulfillment, marketing, sales, and administration. Okay? And then the next thing, which is, I've actually forgot that this was the next point and I was thinking about it, is to build templates for the administrative system. When you first start out, it might be you, yourself, and you in the business, okay? It was just me, myself, and I. When I first started out in my 1-bedroom apartment, being swallowed up by event supplies, working from my kitchen table, my couch, right? Having templates streamlined everything. It made it so much easier, okay? I wanted to be able to present myself as a sustainable, credible business from day one. That was important, and it should be important to you, okay? If you are a team of 1, I like to sign my emails. I still do this to this day, actually, and I actually have a team, is, you know, thank you from the Tiffany Gillespie team, okay? The team is me and all of the different departments that are in my head. Nobody really needs to know that, though, right? Because I am focused on presenting myself as a credible, sustainable business, okay? So build this template for administrative systems so that you don't waste a lot of time on that, because it can become very time-consuming, toiling over words and phrasing and all of that. So just build those templates, know what you need, the common emails that you're going to get, and have your common responses ready, okay? And then last but not least, I wish that we could keep going, because I could seriously teach about this all day long. The last slide is creating your pricing structure. So when we were talking about one of our previous slides, I believe that I touched on, or I should have touched on, capital back on slide 5. But you need to, I've talked a lot about finances. You have to make money in your business, right? Malika talked about it before we were started. There has to be something. There has to be a seed of something that you invest into your business financially, and you need to know where that's coming from. If you are working a full-time job and you want to become self-employed, do not quit before you are ready. I was fired from my job twice in a 1-year time frame. I promise I'm not a bad employee. That just was part of my story. And I was in a field that I shouldn't have been in. I was working in the criminal justice field. That's not what my purpose was, and I understand that now. But I was fired, so I didn't have time to make a plan. There was no time to get ready. If you have a job, your job is your #1 investor. Don't be so hasty to run away from that, pursuing the idea of full-time employment or entrepreneurship, okay? So make sure, though, that you have the seed to invest in what you want to grow. When you're creating your pricing structure, you want to look at well-defined standards, okay? Well-defined standards. So you need to know what the standard is for pricing. There's a certain amount that I will not leave my home for. When people hear that, if you don't understand it, it sounds pretentious. It is not. There's a certain amount that I won't leave my home for, because guess what? That means I have to get up, get dressed, put on makeup, put wear and tear on my car, gas in the car. All those things cost money. Who's paying for them, right? There's a certain amount that I won't get out of bed for. Okay? We are not about to have an hour conversation for $10. No, ma'am. No, sir. Okay? So you have to have standards, though, around your pricing. There's a minimum amount that I am willing to work for. That's a standard. You should have standards in every area of your life, and you need to have them in your business as well. Okay? And don't be ashamed of your standards. Okay? So have well-defined standards. Have clear performance measures. There are so many different models for developing your pricing for a book, a product, or anything else, a service. So many different models, but you have to define what those measurables are going to be for you. How will you know that you've hit the mark, okay? What is your profit margin? The money that you bring in is not always a profit. If your overhead is $3,200 a month and you're bringing in $4,000, you're not making any money. You're putting out more than you're bringing in, okay? So if it costs $5 to print your book, you can't sell the book for $5. You have to do some markup, okay? I'll let Sherry talk about that. You need to invest in pricing optimization tools. So these are just simply, that's a really fancy way of resources, tools, software that tracks your income and your expenses, that tracks your margins, right? How much are you bringing in? How much are you putting out? What is the percentage? Where is the money going? So that it tells you if you are pricing things right. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any tools that you use specifically for this?
Favorite one of, I think, everybody who is in business is QuickBooks. Okay? I am also still very much a paper and pen girl. I write everything down before I put it into my system. Okay? Establish rewards focused on margin rather than revenue. You can reward yourself, you can reward your employees when you are making a profit. Okay? When you are making revenue, there's no room for a reward. You're doing what you're supposed to do, right, to keep your business afloat. When you go above and beyond, just like in any other area of your life, you can reward yourself. Okay? So develop those rewards, though, so that you do that for yourself. Develop a strategy that will capture the value of the product or service. You have to know how much your time is worth. You have to know what is the value of what you have created, okay? You have to know that. Make sure your pricing strategy takes 2 marketing activities into account: price formulation and price execution. So how do you formulate the price? Like what comprises the price, okay? And how is that executed? All right, so the price formulation is the development of the strategy, tactics, guidelines, and policies. All right? And then the execution of it is the second part of this that really focuses on dealing with customer demand, competitive behavior, and environmental factors. You'll get all of this when we email you. And then last but not least, you need to derive your pricing objectives from your corporate objectives. That is fancy for saying do not pull a number out of thin air. When my clients do that, like, oh, I want to charge $10 for this. Why? Tell me why. Break down your price. What's all the components of it, right? And then once we start adding these components up, the thing that you wanted to charge $10 for needs to be $25, okay? So we've doubled your price and you just pulled some number out of thin air. All right, I think that's it. Oh, this is my simple pricing structure. Okay. So I like to use this really quick. So this is something that I use to be very simple, right? A $1 product should be sold for $5. This is basic, and we really do not have time to get into this. This is the most simple kind of way to understand the things that should go into pricing. You need to factor in the production of the product. So the actual product or the service has a price. The shipping, or if you're doing service-based, is going to be your platform, like your marketing platforms, your MailChimp and Buffer and QuickBooks, all of that, right? The platforms to execute. So allocate $1 towards that, right? Business operations, so the business needs to make money because a lot of people stop here. They stop right there. They don't consider these other things. They say, as long as I've covered the product and shipping, I'm good. That's only revenue, right? You've not made a profit. Your business needs to make a profit. You need to pay yourself, and you also need to build in a buffer for fluctuations in the market. Okay? So this is simple. There's so many other things, though, that go into pricing, but that's the most simple way to understand it is by looking at a $1 product and what should be included in the price of that product. Okay? I'm not even going to go to a next slide. I don't know if there is one because I don't want to keep on it. So any questions before Sherry comes up? Okay, I know I gave you all a lot of information, but thank you all so much for your undivided attention and